Fat. Comics Fat.
The Warner Brothers cinematic universe for DC has been a mixed bag up to this point. While it has been massively successful financially, the universe has brought with it a massive divide with the fan base of the regular fans and the comic book movie fans overall. We've seen films like Man of Steel and one of my favorites, the epic Batman v Superman, cause uproar and rage within the community at large, and even with casual fans. It was a tone and feel of the films, the darkness, the grittiness that seemed to divide us all. And it was that dark and gritty tone of the universe that seemed to be in Zack Snyder's image, as he was the guy basically running the universe. And we know of his preference for a darker superhero genre. While I loved, I myself loved him, I wish he could have continued his vision of the cinematic universe. I do understand the hesitation of Warner Brothers to want to change it up a bit, and they eventually have. Because now, long gone is the overarching gritty, dark tone of the whole DC cinematic universe. Now we see the studio basically wants to go with what I consider to be a really good idea, and that's to have each film have its own independent look and tone according to the character and story within that specific film. Now, this is an improvement that will likely lead to it opening up to wider audiences the way Aquaman did last winter. Which finally brings us to Shazam. We finally have a comic book film that is actually dedicated to the source material. Shazam is the most comic accurate movie that DC or Marvel has ever made so far, and it was awesome. Shazam is an origin story. It's about a 14-year-old orphan named Billy Batson. He ends up running to a wizard who then bestows upon him these special powers from 6 Greek gods. Now, these magical powers grant him special abilities that put him on par with the likes of Superman. And basically, that's what he becomes. He becomes a 14-year-old who is a magic-based Superman. This film is directed by David F. Sandberg, who is an in-house Warner Brothers director. Most notably, he's worked with James Wan in that horror genre within the Warner Brothers studios. And James Wan, the guy who brought us Aquaman a few months ago, that massive hit. So it's nice to see Sandberg be given his own shot at a DC movie. He's directed other films, mostly horror, like Lights Out and Annabelle Creation. So it's nice to see Warner Brothers using their horror guys in the DC films, and it seems to be actually paying off pretty good. Now, a reason that Sandberg is so successful here may have to do with the impeccable writing and the stellar cast. Now, at first, I was one of the many who was suspect or weary of Zachary Levi as Shazam and Captain Marvel, because that's who he is, Captain Marvel, original comics, right? But he brought it in this film. He was awesome. He exuded that young teenage mentality so well in this role. He was fun when he needed to be. He was cheesy when he needed to be. But most importantly, he was fun and cheesy in the right way. It didn't seem like it was forced. He did not seem like he was a man pretending to be a kid. He actually seemed like he was a 14-year-old kid in a man's body. And that's what Shazam is. He turned out to be a perfect casting for this role. And the best part, there wasn't really any difference between him and Asher Angel, the kid who played Billy Batson version of him. And they were so alike in the way they acted on their versions on screen that you could see why this movie works so well, with both of them playing that dual role of Shazam and Billy Batson. Now, another notable performance was Jack Dylan Grazer as Freddy Freeman. A lot of us know Grazer from the movie It, where he played Eddie. And just like then and here, this kid is special. He's a major part of why this movie works. He has great chemistry with both Zachary Levi as Shazam and Asher Angel as Billy Batson. Now, his chemistry with them does make for some of the better scenes and banter in the film. And also he adds to, I guess, a somewhat meta aspect of the movie as well. Sort of the audience's knowledge of superheroes, because this takes place in a world where Batman, Superman, the whole DC world exists already, and he provides us with all the necessary exposition, and it definitely doesn't seem forced. He has this great charm about him, and he's great in every scene he's in. Now the villain, Mark Strong here plays the villain, Dr. Sivana. He gets introduced, he's given the backstory, and it definitely provides us with his motivation. Now Mark Strong, he does a pretty good job of playing villains, especially in the DC film. As you know, this isn't his first DC film. He's played Sinestro in that terrible, god-awful 2011 Green Lantern film with Ryan Reynolds. Strong was one of those very, and I mean very small positives in that movie. But yeah, he was decent in this one too. Pretty good origin story for him as the villain. He wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. He was, you know, exactly what this type of film needed. Especially with, there's this great boardroom scene in the film that definitely shows how great he is, and how Warner Brothers and DC are willing to be bold with their villains, something that I feel somewhat separates them from the other studios. It's a really good part in the movie that sets the stakes, if not just raises them from what we already know, and it gives us a sense of how bad this villain, Dr. Sivana, is going to be. Now the story, once again, it's an origin story. It's not too complex, but it has a lot of depth. Now, a lot of that comes from the family angle. Billy Batson is an orphan, and they definitely play that up as part of his struggle throughout the movie. This is about his foster family and his relationship with them, and it's pretty cool because it's straight out of the New 52 Shazam. It's almost shot for shot with the panels off of Jeff Johns' 2011 run of Shazam, which is pretty amazing. Even the suit is identical. It definitely adds to how accurate this film is to the comics. Again, the family part, it's a huge part of the story and movie overall. His foster family, the Vasquezes, they provide the heart for the film. And in that family, there's Mary, Freddy, once again, Freddy Freeman, Pedro, Eugene, and the scene stealer, Darla. She's so cute and never fails to make you smile or laugh when she's on screen. They, with Billy, both in Shazam and child form, are great together. They're kids, you know, they act like kids, they're written as kids too. It adds to the humor, the sincerity of the film. The kids are definitely going to enjoy this film because of that, because they're real. It doesn't seem fake with them. They're genuine, and they seem like a real, legit family who's, you know, diverse, with a wide-ranging group of foster kids who come together, and I loved it. Now, with this film, there's also so much to like and enjoy, and very little to be displeased about. I've watched it multiple times now, from the early screening to this past weekend, and it seems to get better every single time. Has great rewatchability factor, has a great message, great story, of course an amazing cast, and it definitely finishes well. And when you see it, you know what I mean, because you're gonna love that third act and the surprises that come with it. If you haven't figured them out already while watching the movie, it's definitely worth it. Like, it's a really good film. It ends really good. This is by far my favorite comic book film of the year, even though it's only, what, the second or third. It's fun, it's exciting, there's tons of action, and it's hard to imagine that you're gonna be disappointed with this film. You're gonna leave the theater even more excited, with some feels probably, with some of the story. In the end, I definitely recommend this film. It has everything for all of us, whether you're a casual fan, hardcore fan, somewhere in between, young or old. This is exactly what this film said and marketed itself as. It's a fun time at the theater. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Don't forget to like this video, share it, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell for more content. And I'll see you guys next time.
Comix, Fred.